What's the stupidest way you've wasted money? Story 1. Wife bought life insurance for $110 a month. Didn't consult me. This went on for a year. She casually mentions her life insurance payment coming up. I'm like, wait, how much is it? 110. I can get her life insurance through the military up to $500,000 for $25 a month, wasted over $1,300. She didn't even die either. Story 2. Back when gold was expensive and I was a teen with no responsibility, I spent $400 on 5,000 G to get my epic flying mount. Then I stopped playing due to boredom about a week later. My parents were saving that money for college in an account under my name. Edit. The way I saw it, it would have taken me 3 to 4 weeks of farming questing to get 5,000 G in BC. If I made $10 per hour at 16 in my job, 40 hours of hard work that would get me 400, not including taxes or other bullshit. So either work for 40 hours and get my flying mount or farm for hours on end every night for a few weeks in order to get it. I don't remember my exact reasoning, but this is how I thought about it at the time. It was a trade-off of time and money. Of course, I used the money my parents had saved for me, but in my teenage mind, it made sense logically. Story 3. Swam with dolphins. You think to yourself, dolphins, this is going to kick, we're going to swim, throw a ball around, learn some new tricks, and be friends for life. You'll name him Philippe and we can rescue lost swimmers in Bermuda together. No, you're going to spend 30 minutes squeezing into a wetsuit. Then you're going to get knee-deep in water with 10 other bag tourists. You hear a lengthy speech about how amazing dolphins are, how much fun they are to train, and a 20-minute dissertation about their lives at this particular facility. Around minute 15, you realize that this is cutting into the time you paid to be swimming with these bastards. A dolphin will come by and you will touch it, it will swim by again and you can touch it again, then you get about 30 seconds worth of photo op where you get to sort of kiss it and sort of hold it as long as you don't actually touch the thing. The trainer will send it out to do some nifty flips and other bullshit that you've seen a million times before. The dolphin will squeak and splash you. If you want pics of this event, be prepared to bust out some serious dough. Sure, you and your family spent $1,000 to swim with these, but if you want pictures, yeah, we want another 100. Then you have to peel yourself out of that wetsuit and lose your wedding ring. That's another story though. HD DVD player. Story 4. Saved up and bought a Cancun vacation for my GF&I in high school. She just turned 18, so it was perfect. $2,300 later and 5 days before the trip I find out she was sleeping around. Could not get back her part of the trip. In fact, the travel agency gave her the credit. A few weeks later I found out she took the money to go to Montreal with one of the other guys. Story 5. One night in college about 8 years ago, after copious of alcohol had been consumed, I got on eBay and ordered a kilt for a few $100s. I don't know why I felt the need to get one nor why I needed to get an expensive one. I also bought a kilt banana hammock because in my inebriated state I was under the impression that's what was worn underneath a kilt. Edit proof. Story 6. A friend of mine opened up an aquarium he spent thousands of dollars importing in hundreds of goldfish from Japan. On arrival, obviously excited to see the fruits of his investment, he went out to sign for a number of large wooden crates. He opened them up to discover the fish had been dry packed. He was furious that this Japanese company sold and sent him dead fish, so he disposed of them, bought a ticket to Japan and went to meet with the exporters for a refund, carrying with him one of the goldfish that they delivered. Arriving in Japan, he cabbed to the offices, slammed down the director's door, slapped the fish on the table and demanded answers. The Japan businessman listened to the complaint, took the dead goldfish out of the bag, put it in some water, and suddenly, it was animate and moving around. Apparently, in order to minimize shopping costs with the weight of water transportation, they hyperhydrate the fish before they package them off. I'm a bit skeptical of the story, as apparently they can only survive a few days in that dead state. But that's how it was told to me. I'm happy to suspend disbelief for the sake of a good story.
Edit quick Google search technology islogy.
Story 7. Dinner for 2. The bill came to a little over 1,000. I'm incredibly embarrassed about it. If it wasn't for the relative anonymity of the internet, I probably wouldn't have even said anything. And the thing is, it wasn't that good. I mean, it was good and fine dining and all that, but I didn't feel like it was any better than other fine dining experiences I've had that cost a fraction of that. Edit because people are asking. It was Cut Steakhouse by Wolfgang Puck. Story 8. My AC fan that circulates the inside air was once running non-stop for a couple of days. I got concerned about it and called a repairman thinking a sensor had broken or something. The repairman came over at about 9 p.m. one night and I could tell he had had a hard day. He asked me what was going on and went and checked the thermostat. He literally pressed one button and the fan stopped. Somehow the fan had been set to on not auto like it usually was. At no time did this situation enter my mind. I ended up having to pay him $60 to come to my house and press a button on my thermostat. Feels bad, man. Story 9. Rather than get up and put a DVD I own into the DVD player, I'll oftentimes order it for $4.99 through the cable provider so I can stay comfortable on the couch. Edit. I'm not obese and am not typically lazy. I work full-time and spend the majority of my free time on one of 3 side businesses or developing iPhone games. Let me have a lazy day here or there. Story 10. Traded in a vehicle. They gave me about $500 for it, and tacked the other $2,500 I still owed right onto the new loan. There was really no reason for me to give them that vehicle. Story 11. Lent a guy $2,000. Never saw the money again. Lesson learned. Edit, I might as well give you more info since a few people seem to be at least vaguely interested. First off, I was an idiot. We can get over that part at the start because there really isn't any other easy justification here. Basically, he was the friend of a friend, although I knew him okay, and the friend whom I trusted him. He was having some real trouble with credit card debt, yes, one of many bad signs, but he seemed somewhat organized and I figured, well, I'm not doing anything with the money I saved up during my 2 years at a part-time job. The 2 grand is pound sterling, and this is also about 10 years ago, so I reckon we're at maybe 4000 to 5000 in today's US money, so I loaned him it with a 5% yearly interest rate. Well, surprise surprise, I didn't hear from him. Contact I attempted to make went ignored, and since I'm not that confrontational, I didn't feel the need to track him down and take out his kneecaps this year. After having this bother me once every few months for years, I contacted him on Facebook. Sorry, he tells me, I was declared bankrupt, I couldn't pay off my debts. Well, short of getting legal representation for 2 grand, I decided to leave it. 2 grand was and still is a lot of money for me, but that was a lesson learned. Oh, and even though I consider it a good lesson learned, that guy, you may well be reading this, you hipster childlike irresponsible, that feels better. Further edit, there is a problem with burden of proof that I lent him the money. A friend did witness the transaction, but I hadn't though of him as a bit slow at the time, but it transpires I could not rely on him to say he definitely saw the exchange, so that's good. Story 12, in case you haven't already sorted the problem. The hotel booking may be non-refundable, but you may have more luck with having them adjust the dates of your booking to line up with your holiday. Story 13, bought a cheap car that I really liked, like 1000, and spent a good 2000 on repairs to fix the brakes, wheel bearings, a new clutch, replace the timing belt, etc. Then the transmission went out and I spent another 1500 to fix that. Then the engine went out. I was pissed. The car was only worth maybe 2000 in mint condition. And I had to junk it and only got 200 for it. No room to part it out. Huge lesson learned. If the cost of the repairs is going to be more than the value of the car, let it go. Story 14, I'm currently about 300 down from building a bookcase for a girl who has a boyfriend and no intention of leaving him for me. This includes materials, tools, and lost income from overtime. Sad thing is I'm only about halfway done and I will finish it. Story 15, I bought a Time Life Best of Disco collection box set for 200 off of an infomercial when I was 15, just because I liked the song Love Roller Coaster, and I had just got my first job and my first paycheck. Turns out, I don't even like the original Love Roller Coaster, I like the RHCP version, and get this, disco sucks. Surprised, right? Story 16, way too many parking tickets, though in Chicago, pickup trucks of any sort are completely outlawed, so, yes, citation. Story 17, I purchased a new disk drive for my PC. It has the ability to read HD DVDs, Blu-ray discs, and also can burn Blu-ray discs. This thing probably cost $250 to $300 if I recall correctly. My thinking was that I could burn Blu-ray discs needed and run a HDMI cable from my extra output to my big screen TV so I could watch Blu-ray movies on it. So I get this thing, install it, and come to realize the hassle of running the HDMI cable and using my second HDMI port across the room, installing the software to properly decode the discs which need to be updated every week and sometimes doesn't work at all, and my complete lack of needing to burn Blu-ray discs because, well, I have no need for burning Blu-ray discs. The HD DVD feature was useless because the HD DVD format was already dead, and to top this off, the drive is slow as sin, so in the end I replaced all this with a PS3 Slim which cost the same value. Story 18, graduated college, had a grad party at my parents' place, then went out to a club to celebrate after, threw my credit card down, had an open tab, and told my friends to order whatever they wanted on me. Story 19, bought an apartment in Q1 2007 for $370,000. It's now worth $220,000 max. The hilarious thing is that I can't even live there and no one will rent it. FML gonna be paying that one off well into my 50s. Story 20, my DUI, 1,000 in car repairs, 400 in towing, 995 in court fines, 1,500 for a lawyer, 750 in DMV fines, 250 for a mandatory course, and an increase in my insurance. I literally had no reason to be driving, wasn't actually going anywhere, and ended up back at the house I had left from. But the people who picked me up were mad and worried. Stupidest thing I've ever done. Story 21, a few years ago I bought a car off of Craigslist. I know, turns out that the car didn't belong to the dealership the guy was claiming to be a part of. I found out about a year later when I was having trouble renewing the registration sticker. Probably cost me about $400 to $500. I like to think of it as an expensive lease. On a side note, I'm glad it happened because I experienced the new car feel and realized it wasn't so grand after I'd had the car for a few months. A car just gets you from place to place, and I'd be happy to drive my current 91 Volvo 240 for the rest of my life. Story 22, when I was a recent graduate I was scammed by an insurance company. I was just so happy to be hired by anyone. I was duped into thinking that I could make money by selling people insurance they didn't want or need. I paid for a 350 textbook for an exam to become certified. Although I passed the exam, I realized within a week that the company was a scam, complete with ridiculous script that should we go off it we would get in trouble and cold calling. Worst mistake ever. Story 23, me being really soppy in a long-distance relationship and buying a ring-a-rabbit cuddling your finger, the idea being, this is a piece of me always with you and wanting to cuddle you, really cute. clearly doesn't imply anything more, just a cute gift. She leaves me days before our anniversary. Still got the ring, not sure what to do with it, could upload a pic of it, it's pretty cute, edit. Story 24 Alcohol, blowing paychecks, borrowing money, stealing money, alcohol has ravaged my life, finances included, OFW, I'm an alcoholic ha ha ha. Story 25 A Girl Scout came to my door asking for donations once. I didn't realize till after I forked over about Tree Fitty that the Girl Scout was an 18-story crustacean from the Proterozoic era. That's the last time that God Loch Ness Monster cons me out of my hard-earned money. Story 26 I got it into my head one day that I wanted to buy a leather jacket. So I wake up early before work and head to the mall. I pretty much bought the first jacket I saw from the first store I walked into. The shop assistant was super nice but intimidating at the same time, so I felt uncomfortable saying no, basically agreed to everything they said and practically let them buy the jacket for me. It cost nearly $400 if I remember correctly. It doesn't suit me at all. I wore it for maybe a week and haven't worn it since. I have a lot of shopping regrets, but this is hands down one. Story 27 bought an iPod Touch 2 months ago, didn't get a phone because my shitty old phone still worked fine and I'm a cheap. 2 weeks later my phone gets caught in the rain and I end up buying an Android. iPod now useless. Story 28 Freeze. I spent 24 on Freeze. Last relationship ended horribly. We were engaged. I had already bought my wedding dress, shoes, veil, and made deposits on the venue and caterers. I was out about $8,000. Now, have zero interest in marriage and I own a wedding dress, dropping it straight out of my pocket without noticing. Story 29 Break up with ex-girlfriend. Post-orgasm nap. Sleep through flight home from New Zealand. That and countless missed opportunities due to small moments of procrastination. Story 30 I know this will probably be buried beneath the previous comments, but in case someone gets a laugh at my expense about it, when I was in college, I was walking to my apartment on a Sunday morning and a homeless man approached me. My school tended to have a lot of homeless people surrounding it, but as I was raised as a suburban kid, I was still not yet completely dismissive of them. This man started talking to me about how nice the day was, and I talked to him awkwardly for a few minutes when I really just wanted to go home. He asked me if I had any money on me. I tried to get away, but he was quite impressive in his showmanship. He begins to tell me about how he doesn't even have enough money to buy milk for his children. My naive save everyone college mind started falling for the story but still wanted to just get away, so I try to give him a few dollars he has on me. I think he could tell that he could rope me some more, because then he dropped the gem of the century on me. Oh man, this is good. But my kids need this special kind of milk, it's 20 a gallon. I still can't believe what happened. In a mixture of naivete, sympathy, awkwardness, a tiny bit of fright, and me just wanting to escape the situation, I say, oh, I just don't have that much money on me, I would have to go to the ATM. And he suddenly exclaims, oh, we'll go with you. So not knowing what to do, I walk 5 blocks with this homeless man I do not know to a Wells Fargo ATM and pluck out 40. He tries to give me his crappy watch or strange cell phone as collateral, but at this point, I'm just tired and say, no thanks, just enjoy your day. He leaves and I never see him again. Tilde. A homeless man convinces me to give him 40 from an ATM because he needed to buy his kids special milk. Story 31 Women. I mean really, what's with that, feminists? Everything should be equal until you suddenly have to pick up the bill for dinner, and I'm an ungentlemanly tight dash. The hypocrisy. Edit people fairly pointed out that feminists probably isn't the right word to use there. To clarify, I mean women who call themselves feminist and complain about male dominance in society, but argue that old-fashioned things like this are just social norms and shouldn't be changed. Deep breath. Story 32 was trying to buy a gram of trees, got cash back at a grocery store, forgot it at the self-checkout, didn't even make it out of the door, remembered, went back and it was gone. The girl who must have went in behind me passed me as I walked back. She had to have known it was mine, and saw me walking back for it, so I went to the ATM. Was pissed about what happened. Freaking left the 20 in the ATM the same, again, walked back after not even half a block was gone, spent 60 on a gram. You bet your I went and did it one more time. I needed it most after all that. Story 33 I'm too lazy to go grocery shopping, so I buy meals from stores, delis, Starbucks, etc. I make $23,000 a year, which is much higher than poverty line, but I live paycheck to paycheck because I'm a lazy. Story 34 800 on a hooker in Vegas. Didn't even have with me. She massaged my hand for 30 minutes and left. I actually hate myself for this, and many other reasons. Story 35 I once bought the DVD Heavyweights for 4 from a website I had never been on before. I bought it with my credit card which had an enormous balance. Later that year I actually took some time to actually look at my credit card statement. I had been charged $25 per month for the service of this discount movies website. TLDR, I spent $179 on the movie Heavyweights. Story 36 I let a friend owe me money over $1,000 for accumulated bills, rent, council tax, etc. It's an expensive way to learn that you should never, ever let anyone owe you money without a legal agreement, no matter how much you trust them. It cost me a painful amount of money and a friend too. Story 37 gave around 20 to people begging for money for various reasons outside gas stations a few years back. I knew immediately after they didn't need it, or need it for other things. Cough drug scoff. I had a hard time saying no back then. Today I just laugh in their face. I'm tired of giving money to liars. Story 38 booking is prepaid and non-refundable. That's pretty rare here in the States, are you sure? Generally speaking, I can cancel up until 6 p.m. the day I'm due to arrive. Story 39 230 for a custom-designed Flip Mino HD, 75 for game points cards for game called Fiesta, online 70 in domains that I don't even have anymore, 60 for Battlefield Bad Company 2 for PC, I have never even played it on PC. Story 42,000 all-expensed paid trip for a girl, 2,000 on a dog girl wanted, 700 coach purse on said girl, 2 years of free food and lodging on the same, getting over by said priceless. Story 41 Call of Duty 5 World at War Collector's Edition, sounded good at the time with all the hype about COD, was 100, and I was young. Collector's Edition came with useless little extras like double EXP for a week or a random machine gun. It got even worse when I installed it and found out that my computer could barely run it on the lowest graphics. People say it was good for Nazi zombies. But come on, amongst the whole game, only one point was good, huge letdown. Story 42 One year the company I was working for put me in the wrong tax bracket, so I got a tax return worth nearly $2,000. I spent it on alcohol, drugs, things for friends, things for women, and like $300 on stuff from a novelty shop, like black light posters and a lava lamp to name a few. The entire return was gone in about 6 weeks. Story 43 and the booking is prepaid and non-refundable. Contact the hotel and ask for a date change or refund. Hotels are service institutions that usually operate by treating their customers well. Explain the accident and they should help you. If they don't, contact your bank and report that the merchant will not work with you and ask them to reverse the charge. There's no reason you should be out this money for a small mistake which you are clearing up well in advance. Story 44 A few things that I just want to shoot myself for. The ridiculous amount I've spent on all drugs over the past couple of years. Nicotine, alcohol, weed. Mostly one time I took out a payday loan to get wasted. Idiot, I regretted that one pretty soon after. The other time I had 20 to my name. And I spent it getting a taxi to my girlfriend's place to try and patch things up with her. I knew fully what I was doing at the time, but I can't explain why. Emotion is a up thing, now I'm money. Story 45 I will always remember this one. I bought a 20 Where's Waldo book at age 9. That was a ridiculous sum of money at the time. I spent about an hour finding Waldo and appreciating the art and then got bored with it. To this day, it is my prime example of wasted money. Story 46 I filled a bag with jelly beans while I was at a candy store, and when I went to the counter they told me it weighed 6 pounds. At $10 a pound I regretted my decision already, but they said I couldn't put it back, so I ended up spending all of the money in my wallet on Jelly Bellies. The friend who was with me just laughed. Story 47 When I was in the 4th grade, I went to a bake sale to buy myself a tasty cookie. I had 25 in my pocket, a $20 bill, and a 5, being the idiot that I am, proceeded to hand the cashier girl the 20 and say keep the change. I thought I would sound like a boss, but everyone just kind of fed and I walked away feeling stupid. Story 48 When I was 18, I was walking around Amsterdam too high for my own good and dropped 50 on a pair of designer underwear because I thought the name Bjorn Borg was really funny. Story 49 Bought a Saab for $4,000. Engine locked up a month after I bought it. New engine was $5,000 plus shipping. Spent the next 2 years paying off a car loan to a car that no longer ran. Rode a bike everywhere during high school and my first year of college. Story 5400 On a Mont Blanc Starwalker writing instrument. I was 18 and worked part-time to save up for college, thinking I would be some big CEO or something with his fancy pen. Story 51 I always regret not putting one of mine or my wife's wages into a savings account before we had kids. Now that we're on one income and still managing okay, we can't believe the amount of money we wasted on any number of things: satellite TV, delivered bottled water, etc., when we could have saved that money for a house or the kids' education. Story 52 I loaned $200 to my drug-addled thief of a cousin. Never saw it again. He stopped calling me after I always answered the phone with "Where's my money?" Come to think of it, it was the best $200 I ever spent. Story 53 Pre-order games I have no interest in. Play on Steam for genuine TF2 items. Seriously, you'll never play Skyrim, you Gabe Logan Newell. I curse your every meal. I was 7 collectors. G.I. Joe parachute dude kinda works. Story 54 200 DDR500 memory for my first computer. Not only was it overclocking RAM, it didn't even hold its overclock very well. System instability. Then, when I wanted more memory 2 GB to 4 GB I bought matching memory. Never mind, I could have checked its non-overclock timings and found compatible, less expensive RAM. 400 on RAM turned into 80 when I sold it. Story 55 Okay, let me tell you about how I learned that I have an addictive personality. I had just simultaneously turned 18 and received my first real paycheck. All in all, I banked about $400. At the time, I thought I should be in a rap video making it rain. My best friend had recently started gambling on sporting events online using Bodog. He had been pretty successful and had amassed about 1K in winnings. Well, I thought if he can do it, I certainly can, so I opened an account and put in $30. I figured I would start small, test the waters, and try to become a multi-millionaire. That same day, I discovered that you could play blackjack for money. It started out innocently enough, $1 bets, maybe a $5 bet if I got ahead enough. Fast forward 3 hours, I've lost $350 and have somehow convinced myself that if I just use the last $50 in my account, I can break ahead. I deposit the money and decide to place a $25 bet to try and get back in the game. Pretty much the equivalent of being down in a football game and chucking Hail Marys non-stop. Sadly, I did not break even, lost all of my money, and had nothing to show for my birthday or 40 hours of work. From that day, I have steered clear of gambling, strip clubs, and excessive alcohol. If only I could be addicted to weightlifting or running. Story 56. Smoking weed practically every day for 7 years. I reckon I've spent an average of 500 quid on weed a year, not counting bulk amounts for festivals and the countless bags I've lost and then replaced. That said, 3,500 pounds over the course of 7 years still doesn't seem enough. I spent 1,000 in a single summer, and I dread to think what the actual figures are, and no, I have absolutely nothing to show for it. Story 57. Bought 90 0-foot glove shoes that obviously cost about $5 to make Vibram 5 fingers, because they were supposed to help with shin splints while running. They didn't do. Story 58. Red light ticket for 230. Otherwise, buying a new laptop chill mat because I couldn't find the USB power cable proprietary, and Belkin no longer sold that particular chill mat, so reordering was not an option for my old one. Lo and behold, guess what I find a month later when I could no longer return the new chill mat. Story 59. Not mine, but in high school, I had a friend spend his whole paycheck from his part-time job on glow sticks. 10 years on, and we still make fun of him for this from time to time. Story 60. Spent $7,000 on a wedding ring for a marriage that neither I or my wife wanted, then about $18,000 on a wedding, all because we were both too polite to say, yeah, we shouldn't get married just because we've been together for so many years. To any Redditors contemplating marriage for similar reasons, hoping that marriage might change the relationship for the better or add some missing element, please heed this as a cautionary tale. Story 61. I've bought 4 different re-releases of Final Fantasy for the day they came out, PS1, GBA, DS and PSP, after owning the Super Nintendo original, Jesus Christ. Story 62. I work front desk at a hotel. Even if it is prepaid, they can still change the dates. Just call and speak with the front office manager. They can always change the dates. Story 63. I have a MacBook. I actually love it. Unfortunately, I'm a math econ major with a stats minor, so I do a substantial percentage of my homework in the computer lab because I can't even get the software required for my computer.